Welcome to Pop-O-Holics, the show about hot takes, hotter than hot, tasty pancakes. Welcome to the weekly upload for May 24th, 2021. So happy to have you. Welcome our YouTube watchers as well as our podcast listeners. My name is Christian Katie. I'm the host in this weird music dungeon / purse store that I have going on. If you're confused,
posterless, unfortunately. What's going on?
Try my efforts to spruce up the room right before we recorded failed miserably. But who is that elegant co-host you heard? Well, that was my good friend, Mr. Brian Dupree.
How's it going, guys? And we've got someone in relative hiding above me.
Go on, show us this. Show us the face.
Chris Conkling is here as well, mustacheless.
Wow.
It's radical.
It may have been a mistake.
It's radical. You look like you should own your own fast food chain. But it's a place I would eat.
I appreciate that.
Oh, it's a solid franchise for sure.
So what is the weekly upload? Well, we talk about the latest going-ons in pop culture for our YouTube viewers. We are going to be talking about the news. Brian's going to bring us some tasty news stories. We got some Marvel news as per always, and then also some new announcements for TV shows and some other directorial announcements. So we got some stuff to get into there. For the podcast listeners, we're going to be talking about what we've been consuming for the week, and Brian's going to take a nap, and me and Chris are going to talk all about Mass Effect Legendary Edition that just came out this week.
You and I probably could have recorded a separate bonus episode talking about Mass Effect.
Not probably, definitely.
We're gonna try and condense it down in the main weekly upload. So we'll see how that goes.
Brian finally saw Soylent Green, a movie I have not seen. But I know one thing about it, and it's just a spoiler. So I'm going to try the entire time through.
Yes.
That's what I know as well.
But hey, Soylent Green is a movie that Brian will be discussing. And then we have some community feedback if we have time. We'll see. Chris.
We'll see what happens.
So let's dive into the way we start this show, into Brian's Wacky News Corner.
Welcome back, everyone. It's another wibbly-wabbly Wacky News Corner.
A flat circle.
Every week. Here we go.
It's wibbly.
I'm just kidding, Christian.
Wobbly.
Wibbly wobbly.
Wobbly wibbly. A wibbly wabbly.
Timey-wimey.
Timey-wimey, yes. Welcome back, everyone. I'm just giving the guys content to make clips here. It's all for the Pop-O-Holics cause, of course, and not my own ridiculousness. So, the first piece of news this week, John Boyega and writer-director Joe Cornish have signed on to make Attack the Block 2. So this news is kind of perfectly timed. I recently saw this movie for the first time this year, probably 2 months ago or so. It may have been on Amazon at the time, but it's actually on Tubi for free right now as well. I don't think it's on Prime anymore. But yeah, I had never seen this movie. It's John Boyega's first big role, which is pretty much what landed him in Star Wars from this performance. And he plays Moses, and it's a sci-fi alien invasion story that takes place on the ground in South London. He's a part of a very young street gang that gets caught up in this madness. And the movie is ridiculous amounts of fun and has so much heart to it as well. If you haven't seen this movie, I would definitely recommend it. Have you guys seen Attack the Block, and are you excited for this sequel?
I have seen Attack the Block. I watched it when it first came out in college, and it is a ton of fun. It's a really great sci-fi flick. One of my favorite things about it is that the creatures are all done practically in the film, which you didn't see a whole lot at that time when this movie was released. But I'm super excited that all of our main creators are coming back for a sequel. I don't necessarily know what that sequel could potentially entail, considering that the original film is like a perfect one and done.
Right.
But I'm really excited to see what they're able to do. This is the movie that basically kicked off John Boyega's career and the reason that J.J. Abrams cast him in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. So I'm pumped to see him come back a decade later and see what he can do with Moses, with that character.
Yeah, Attack the Block is really fun. I remember we saw that in college. That was a very enjoyable film. Joe Cornish, the one who actually came in and rewrote the screenplay for Ant-Man as well. That's like the other big thing that he did.
Yep.
And he was the original director as well as Attack the Block. And it's one of my favorite things that he's done. It's like it's like the best B movie. It's a very just out there, like just fun action beats and good suspense. It's just a really well-made, like little B blockbuster film. So yeah, I'm excited that they're getting a chance to go to bat again. Take against the pitcher's mound and batter up and swing.
Put the ball in the hole.
Well, the ball doesn't go in a hole in this situation. The ball goes out of there. Sports ball.
Over the fence, into the net.
Maybe there's a net. There's potentially a net to protect people out in the outfield from getting pegged.
Not touching that one.
We know sports.
So yeah, that's Joe Cornish and John Boyega who are signing on a decade later.
Good old, I went to the wrong graphic. Good old Joe Cornhole. Other sport. Totally worth barging in for. Brian, what else is on the news docket?
May not be sport worthy, but we have finally gotten not a confirmed date, but a confirmed month for Marvel's What If animated series that's coming to Disney Plus, and it'll be out this August. So, as if we didn't have enough MCU content, this fills the gap between Loki starting on June 11th, Black Widow coming out July 9th, and Shang-Chi coming out September 3rd. So every month we're going to have something new from Marvel pretty much until the end of the year. It's completely ridiculous. There's not a whole lot of information out about what this show is, but it is going to be non-canonical stories that deal with a ton of returning characters from the MCU in terms of voice actors. So this looks like it could be a lot of fun, and given free reign to tell any stories they want, I am more than happy to be in Marvel's hands in this, because with what they can do with interconnecting stories, I can only imagine what they can do with one-offs. So I'm really excited for this. Chris, how are you feeling about What If?
I have been anxiously awaiting them to announce a release date for this show, because we had no idea when it was coming out. I'm so excited that it's August. It's very soon.
Yeah.
Brian, we've mentioned What If and Elseworld stories here on the podcast before. They're some of my favorite stories because, like you said, the creators are unhindered from whatever they want to do. Whatever type of story they want to tell with these characters, they can go for it because it's not going to affect main continuity in any way, shape, or form. And I think this is a brilliant idea to put it in the MCU. And with Disney's backing behind it, they've been able to pull every single actor that has portrayed these characters in the MCU. They've been able to pull them into the recording booth and have them voice their corresponding characters in the What If series. So it really will feel like an MCU What If, you know?
Extension, right?
I've seen some concept art and some spoilers for some of the episodes we're gonna get, and there are a lot of cool ideas that are going to be taking place in this show that I'm super excited to see. I'm not going to spoil them here, but something we have seen in trailers, I think it's fair to spoil, is the first episode is going to essentially be a what if of Captain America the First Avenger, where Peggy Carter becomes Captain Britain and scrawny Steve Rogers becomes a version of Iron Man, working with Howard Stark. So I'm super excited to see that. That's only the tip of the iceberg, though. I love the animation style. I'll definitely be talking about this show when it airs on Disney Plus in August, but very, very exciting. Christian, what are your thoughts? You typically don't like cartoons, so what are your feelings going into this?
Optimistic. They've put out a lot of good stuff otherwise, so why wouldn't this be fun as well? I don't know if, because it depends on the animation style. Chris, you're talking about how you like it. If you probably, for our listeners as well as me, you could maybe explain what the animation style is like. That's definitely going to kind of factor in. I don't like when cartoons, especially if it's like I know it's a what if story, but it's going off your already perceived visual aesthetic of Marvel, which is very safe. It's not too crazy. It's very kind of grounded. It's not too out there. You know, when you go into the cartoon realm, I think the art style is going to impact how people like perceive it. So
For
that's
those
definitely
that
important.
are unaware or who may have not seen any trailers, the visual aesthetic that this show is going for is a CG model aesthetic with very clean cell shading on top of it. So it really does kind of look like a comic book come to life, is how I would best describe it. But they're not going, at least from my knowledge, it doesn't look like they're going traditional hand drawn. It's all CG modeling.
So it's going to look like Beast Wars.
Definitely not. Nope. Nope. That's that was one of the very first CG shows that came out in the early 90s. Think like a really polished 2021
Beast Wars.
cell shaded, sure, a
Hey,
2021
man.
cell shaded Beast Wars. That is probably the last show I would have used, despite how much I like that show. The last show I would have used to describe What If, but you'll see once it comes out.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's What If coming to Disney Plus this August. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a good deal once it drops.
What if
Next piece of
all
news.
of Marvel was CG? Anyway.
It probably wouldn't have been as successful.
They're probably all dogs. I think that's the reveal.
Yeah, that's really what it all comes down to. They're all dogs.
So the next piece of news, another speaking of influential animation, we have executive producers Bruce Timm, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves making a new animated Batman show called Batman Caped Crusader for HBO Max and Cartoon Network. Chris, I'm gonna kind of hand the reins off to you here and let you rave about Bruce Timm. For those who don't know, he did Batman the animated series in the 90s. He worked on Superman the animated series, the new Batman Adventures, as well as Batman Beyond. So
Justice League Unlimited. Yeah, Batman Beyond, like you said, Static Shock. He did a Green Lantern, the animated series in like the early 2000s. The man is a huge fan of DC and has created some of the most important animated DC shows of our time. That's how I would describe Bruce Timm.
and really established the aesthetic around Batman since then,
He
right?
did.
Has been really influential in that. So apparently this is going to the noir roots of Batman and is going to be pretty psychological, a psychological look at these characters, which is personally some of my favorite Batman stuff, I think, getting into the head of these characters. I bought a Blu-ray copy of the animated Batman the animated series because I had never watched it front to back. And this news has made me want to start going through that, and I think it's going to inspire me too. I think I might start that this weekend.
I'm excited.
How do you
for
guys
that,
feel
Brian.
about this? Yeah, me too, man.
So there was a rumor probably about 6 months back that WB was going to be adapting a sequel series to Batman the Animated Series for HBO Max. And I think it's safe to assume that while this isn't a sequel series to Batman the Animated Series, this is probably the project that leaked and people were talking about. I'm not disappointed that we're not getting a sequel series to Batman the Animated Series. That's one of my favorite shows of all time, favorite cartoon shows of all time. I think it's perfect as is. There's no need to add anything to it, right? But this show, I mean, we know very little about it. All we've seen is a poster. It's a very
Which is awesome.
It's a fantastic poster, very much in style with Bruce Timm's aesthetic. I'm sure he probably drew it. But the creative team here is impressive. I was really surprised when this dropped that both J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves were going to be involved. And I think with those three people at the helm, this is going to be a good series. We still don't know what the show is going to be rated. We don't know if it's going... Well, considering that it's going to be airing on Cartoon Network simultaneously, I guess it probably will be like a young adult, just like Batman the Animated Series was. You know, that was a show that was meant for children, but the stories were in depth and geared toward adults, so adults could enjoy them as well. So I'm hoping we're getting more of that, you know? J.J. Abrams is great at starting things. So I hope this show has a great beginning, and then I hope Bruce Timm and Matt Reeves kind of take over toward the middle, and then JJ just doesn't have to deal with ending the show. I think they should play to their strengths. But I'm very excited. For our viewers, I'm gonna toss in the poster just so they can see what it looks like. But get hyped. I'm really excited for this show. Christian, another cartoon. Fancy that.
Right
I'm
up your
only gonna
alley.
watch if George Clooney does the voice, or I'll take Val Kilmer as well.
We don't even know who's going to voice Batman yet.
Yeah, it could happen.
Can I put in a quick audition?
Sure.
Throw it out there, yeah.
WB watches this show. I mean,
All right. Oh, I gotta get
go
in
for
charge
it. Let's hear your Batman.
I'm Batman. Batman. Man. My parents dead. Batman. So
I
going
think
for
that suits the tone they're going for.
That was an attempt.
yeah.
We've gotten your Batman. Can we get your Bruce Wayne?
I'm totally not Batman.
Classic Bruce
Perfect.
Wayne.
A model. I might marry her. I have lots of money.
That's Bruce Wayne if I ever heard Bruce Wayne. I think you really WB hit this man up.
Hiding in plain sight. Unbelievable.
Just like Batman. Or Bruce Wayne.
Just like Batman hiding in plain sight. Excellent.
So yeah, that's Batman Caped Crusader that is eventually going to be coming to HBO Max and Cartoon Network. Moving on, the directing duo behind Bad Boys for Life that came out last year has signed on to direct a Batgirl movie for Warner Brothers. So this is Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah, who directed Bad Boys for Life. And this follows Barbara Gordon, who is the daughter of Commissioner James Gordon, who is a obviously well-known established character. At this point, Barbara is also very well-known. Last played in live action in the Joel Schumacher movie Batman and Robin in the 90s, which, yeah, I know, maybe not her finest moment. I haven't come back to that
Not
movie
the best
since.
track record on film. Let's say that.
Hey, but I have high hopes for this. This is something that I'm not sure if I had even heard rumors about previously, but yeah, is this something that had been in the works? Had you guys heard about this one?
I thought this project was dead, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
Joss Whedon had been working on it in 2017, and it was kind of right around the time he was directing Justice League. So like the studio had been working with him. He ended up saying that he left the project because he couldn't crack the story. He couldn't figure out what to do with the character.
So on that note, it makes sense why maybe that was a cover story for him being kind of quietly fired, justifiably by all accounts.
That's
Christina
just speculation.
Hodson,
But
allegedly, we have no idea what happened with Joss Whedon, obviously. But Christina Hodson took over, and she actually wrote Bumblebee, as well as got credits on Birds of Prey and The Flash. So she ended up writing what's going to become the movie for HBO Max at this point.
I
And
had a
these two
rumor
directors-
that Batgirl left the set several times from allegations of verbal abuse.
That would make sense. Yeah. It's weird though that you heard that, considering they haven't even started filming. This
Well, they
movie,
were
though. What?
they did test footage.
Oh, I see now.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this coming from John Schumacher again?
John Schumacher,
I-
the real John Schumacher.
We have to get you a new contact because his information is not very
Speaking of
reliable.
bad stuff, man.
A good reporter never reveals his source.
Is that
That's
what we
not
are?
the motto that the Pop-O-Holics live by. I just want to make that very clear.
Oh, I moonlight as a writer for the Epoch Times. It's a deep.
These are deep cuts.
It's a deep.
Before we move
The
on,
only
I
people
do
who know
wanna
that
mention-
reference are just mad. So anyway, let's. Chris.
Before we move on, I do want to mention that these two directors also just finished Miss Marvel. They were the showrunners on the new Marvel Disney Plus series Miss Marvel. So they have some comic book content under their belts. So I think they'll be able to do great things with this movie. They're also responsible. I didn't see Bad Boys for Life, but I've heard that movie's probably the best out of the three of them. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with Batgirl. Maybe they could breathe some life into the project.
Missed a naming opportunity. Batgirls for Life.
Batgirls for life. There you go.
Starring Christian Katie as Bruce Wayne. Barbara, it's time to get in the Batmobile.
I cannot wait for your career as Batman and Bruce Wayne to take off. I'm
My
so excited for what the
throat
future
is
holds
not.
for you.
My throat is not excited for that career.
Yeah, you're gonna need a lot of tea to maintain that, but it's gonna be worth it.
A lot
Stay
of
tuned for that.
lozenges in my utility belt.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that is Batgirl, the new movie coming from WB at some point. All right, last piece of news, real quick. We gave you the whole laundry list last week, and then we just got an inkling, a single announcement this week. But Leslie Odom Jr., who was recently nominated for 2 Oscars for his performance in One Night in Miami, as well as his vocal performance, has been brought on to Knives Out 2. So this is this is on top of all the people we announced last week, which were Catherine Hahn, Janelle Monáe, Dave Bautista, Edward Norton, as well as Daniel Craig, who was also in the last movie. I know we said a lot about this last week. I don't think you guys have seen One Night in Miami yet.
I have not.
He's also in Hamilton. I don't know. He was in the original cast of Hamilton. If you saw that, he's great in it as well. He was absolutely unbelievable in One Night in Miami. The whole cast is great, and it's definitely worth seeing on Amazon Prime if you haven't. But this cast is shaping up to be huge. I can't imagine there's that many more huge names to announce at this point. But yeah, Knives Out 2. Do you guys have anything else to say about this that we haven't said last week?
Wouldn't it be super funny if they just kept adding cast members until
It's
like
just 25 people.
we're in day 45 and we're like, how many fucking people are in this cast? Like, what
Well,
is
think about how many people were in the original cast. Like, we haven't even hit that number of talent yet. Like, we only have like maybe a third of the number of actors that were in Knives Out, the first one.
This is true.
So-
There were a lot of actors in the first Knives Out. Wasn't called Knives In for a reason.
So, Brian, you say that you don't know how many more people they could announce, but I think the crack in the dam is about to burst with
That's-
Knives Out actors.
That sounds like a real phrase. That's how normal people would say that. It does make sense. So yeah, that's it for news proper this week. Now moving on to some stuff that's coming out this week. We got some nostalgia feels from the 90s coming heavy. So the original creators of the 90s Nickelodeon show Rugrats are doing a revival / reboot with a lot of the original voice actors. So all of the original voice actors of the kids who are still alive are returning to this show. So we've got E.G. Daily as Tommy Pickles, Nancy Cartwright as Chucky Finster, Kath Soucie as Phil and Lil DeVille, which I'm not sure I ever knew their last name was DeVille, which is just great. Cheryl Chase as Angelica Pickles, and Cree Summer as Susie Carmichael. So this show follows this group of kids on their crazy adventures. I grew up on this. I haven't watched it in forever, but I have probably seen at least however many, maybe 3 seasons front to back of this show. I watched it constantly growing up. Saw at least one of the movies, if not 2. And yeah, the animation style looks significantly different here from the original show. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, but because of
Brian,
the style of this
sorry
sort
to
of
interrupt,
show.
Brian.
No, you're fine.
I know we're supposed to let you kind of like run wild with everything that's coming out this week. Would you compare the look of Rugrats to Beast Wars?
I mean, I don't know if there's anything else to compare it to. To be totally honest, what I immediately thought of when I saw it was more like Jimmy Neutron style. But I've never really watched Beast Wars. I've only
So you're saying
I'm just saying it's a
looks like
CG
Beast
show.
Wars. It looks
So
like Beast
it
Wars.
probably looks like Beast Wars.
it
right?
probably yeah. I think
According
it's
to
exactly the
Christian's
same.
logic.
I think what we can all agree on is that this is slated to premiere in theaters and Paramount Plus, so nobody is going to see it.
Not in theaters. It's a TV show.
It's a TV show, yeah.
Oh, it's a TV show, so it's exclusively
Paramount.
on
It's a-
Paramount Plus.
It's
so
a reboot.
So for sure,
Paramount
nobody's
Plus,
going to
yeah.
see it.
Maybe not, yeah. They probably have a free trial at some point, but yeah, it is unfortunately maybe inaccessible for most people who have cut the cord at this point.
Okay, follow-up question: does Paramount Plus have Beast Wars?
This I don't know, but it might be worth subscribing if they did, from what I understand about these wars. So yeah, that's Rugrats that will be out this Thursday on Paramount Plus. Uh, we've got another comeback to the 90s, a flashback with Friends the Reunion. So this is not a reboot, but it's kind of a reunion documentary and a clip show where the cast comes back to the sets, reunites, and reminisces about old stuff. I recently watched something like this with the Fresh Prince documentary on HBO Max, and I was never a huge fan of Friends, so I'm not super looking forward to this. I don't have a lot of strong emotional attachments to these characters, but I got to imagine for people who are still obsessed with Friends to this day, that they're going to be hungry for any content they can get and will eat this up. I couldn't help but start to get emotional with just watching the trailer with the music and everything. It's like, oh, okay, I know these people. This is cool. So yeah, that's going to be coming to HBO Max this Thursday as well. So, and the last show that's coming out this week is a Amazon Prime Video series called Panic. So, this is created and written by Lauren Olivier and stars Olivia Welch, Mike Faist, and Jessica Sula, and follows 47 seniors who have just graduated who take part in a competition which will lead them to escape the small town they live in. So basically, there's a cash prize in this kind of podunk can't escape town. No one ever gets out. You can't be successful here. And the events get progressively more insane, I guess. First, when I was reading about it, it sounded kind of Hunger Games-esque, and I think there's an element of that to it, but there might be a frame story thing happening here too, where we're set in two times. This is based on a book as well. Conceptually interesting. I'm not huge into this sort of YA style story, but the trailer looked pretty good, and yeah, that'll be on Prime as well. The first episode will be on Prime this Friday. A couple of movies that are coming out this week. The long-awaited, at this point, sequel to A Quiet Place is finally coming out. So this is written and directed by John Krasinski and stars Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, and Noah Jupe reprising their roles, as well as Krasinski reprising his role. And this is set in a world where it's post-apocalyptic and there are monsters who can't hear but have insanely good hearing. So I don't want to give anything away about what happened in the first movie and what's potentially going to happen in the second. But if you haven't, if you aren't familiar with these movies, the first one is really well done, and it's a very fresh take on horror, on stuff that maybe has seemed to be done to death. This next movie seems like it may be more in the realm of things we've seen before in terms of what they're going for. But because of the characters, because of the connection, John Krasinski helming it again, I'm really looking forward to this one. And that's A Quiet Place Part 2.
I just want to interject a little bit of a missed opportunity here.
Sure.
A Quieter Place. And then the end of the trilogy, The Quietest Place.
Quietest Place. They're all dead. That
joke courtesy of my friend Pierre. Thank you, Pierre. Stole that one from you.
I'm totally lost at this point.
I have a friend named Pierre, and he said that joke earlier today. I overheard this joke. I have said it now on the pod.
It literally was that. All right.
Yes, I just broke my rule. A good reporter never reveals his sources.
Well, thank you for that, Pierre.
Christian is the best.
Grade A journalism here at Pop-O-Holics, always. So that's A Quiet Place Part 2. That'll be in theaters only this Friday. Coming to theaters and premiere Disney Plus this Friday is Cruella. So this stars Emma Stone as the titular Cruella, and the premise of this movie is set in 1970s in London during the punk rock movement. The film follows Estella DeVille, an aspiring fashion designer, and explores the path that will lead her to become a notorious criminal known as Cruella DeVille. So you will all probably know her from the famous adaptation of the 1956 novel, The 101 Dalmatians, that Disney did in the 60s. And this movie looks insane. A lot of the people talking about it are saying it's kind of Disney's Joker in terms of kind of like an anti-hero style of thing. I feel like there's going to be more to it than that. It seems I haven't seen The Devil Wears Prada, but I feel like there's definitely going to be kind of in that same realm. But I kind of love this conceptually. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but from all the promotional material, I'm a big fan of Emma Stone as well. I think they're kind of they could really have a hit with this in a way that could open up what they do with other characters. Maybe obviously this isn't brand new. They've done things like Maleficent, which honestly I'm not as interested in that character. I think there's more maybe depth to mine here potentially. But yeah, that's Cruella. That will be on in theaters and on Disney Plus for I believe the $30 rental price point.
Yeah, I saw I actually saw the
Friday.
trailer for this because it was on an advertisement, and I was just enraptured by whatever the hell was going on in the trailer, and I was like, "This is a sexy movie about Dalmatians," and it's like it bleeds like sexual thriller for a Disney movie about.
Yeah.
So I watched the most recent trailer, and you're right, Christian. It looks like it's this weird, like Devil Wears Prada, like Cruella DeVille entering into the fashion industry and like butting heads with this fashion icon that might be her boss at one point in time. There is a moment in the trailer where the woman who she's seeking revenge against is like, she took my dogs, and they're Dalmatians, obviously. I'm not like super interested in this film. If my wife wants to watch this movie, I would definitely be down to watch it, but like I don't know if I'm going to.
Chris, you let your wife do things?
Oh my gosh.
Man, you got to take a look at your marriage.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, this might be something we sit down and watch, once it becomes free on Disney Plus. My thought process here though is like, okay, so we know this is a woman that likes to skin animals and makes clothes out of them. Based on what we know from 101 Dalmatians and her kidnapping the dogs to make clothes out of their skin, right?
You're a professional, Chris. Okay, she doesn't like it. She does it for the craft.
So my question for you, Disney, is: are we going to see Emma Stone skin animals in this movie?
Yeah, Chris. So the opening scene is going to be her butchering a Dalmatian.
Yeah, that's what I thought. They're going with a hard R for this Disney prequel.
It's already conceptually pretty dark, so I am also interested to see how far they take it.
That's what Disney does, though, man. It's conceptually dark. There's an implication there.
What's the implication?
Yeah,
The dogs are in danger.
The dogs are definitely in danger.
What's happening to the dogs in the other room? We don't know. We can't see.
The implication of the danger.
But the implication...
Dog goes in, Cruella DeVille comes out with a nice new...
But we can see this beautiful new handbag.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Why is it spotted? The implication. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how far they go with this movie. It's Disney. Let's be honest. They're not going to go very far. But, like, that's the character that they're presenting to us based on the original movie.
But sexy.
A woman... Yeah. So we'll see.
Definitely a little sexy.
I
can tell you that
wearing
I will be
nothing but dog.
Oh my god.
I'm definitely going to be watching this one with my family for movie night. So
I'm very interested to hear what you have to say, Brian. I'll probably let you watch it first, and then based on what you come back with, I'll decide whether this is like a must watch sooner rather than later.
If my girlfriend wants to watch it, I'll have to consider how many other movie requests I've taken this month before I decide whether or not we will be watching one of her films.
Pull out the tallies.
Always pull out the tallies.
Got to keep track of that stuff.
Dear God.
Brian,
so, yeah,
what a great news corner. So excellent. You can listen to the rest of this episode if you YouTube watchers. If you go down this way, there'll be a like and subscribe button. So like the video, subscribe to it to get the latest updates. And then under that, there is a link to your favorite podcast player to listen to the rest, where we talk about what we've been consuming. Before we go from our YouTube audience, gentlemen, where can people find more of your work on the internet?
Loyal viewers, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Conkling, talking about all things nerdy, television, movies, video games, comics, collectibles, you name it, I'm talking about it.
You can find me at True Pop-O-Holic, making terrible attempts at jokes and great attempts at dad jokes.
The highest quality dad jokes on the internet.
Peak.
And you can find me at not Batman, just being Bruce Wayne. Walking along. No, you can find my Band at Midnight satire. Search for that on your favorite streaming services and Twitter and all that. Fake band name memes. That's all I'm doing on that right now. No other things to announce. Very cool. YouTube watchers, thank you so much for being here. And we're going to move into what we've been consuming with our quick hits.